always end up with a good bit of growth right here where this trunk comes up, and you don't want any kind of growth coming on that trunk. So go ahead and take those out. A little bit coming up here. And yes, we do still have blue tubes. We'll probably need to take those off, but I've never really had a problem with them. Some people really complain, but they've been fine for me. I'm just gonna leave that. I'll prune the tip off of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a split there, so we'll do that. Got a split there, so we'll do that. All right, guys, so that was it in regards to pruning this delicious, and let's hope that this will be a delicious muscadine. Yeah, that's inserting a dad joke there. Dean Family Acres. Guys, we're out here on our fence line, which is just on our side of the property line. And you know, we've put up this trellis. Probably need to get these T-posts out here at some point. I've got T-posts on the fence line, but I need to put up the taller ones to be able to hold this wire up a little bit. It's doing fine, but once this thing starts producing, then we're gonna have a little bit extra work for us. So that's on the to-do list, is again, getting this up. It's probably the longest run we have because we ran it amongst our fence line. We've got 3 varieties on this row, and hopefully you will stick around to hear about each and every one. We're gonna start off with Fry, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it's done. All 3 of these we planted in 2024. We actually planted, I believe, 4 or 5 on this row, but 3 have made it. And we're going to hopefully see our first flowering and fruit this year. I will say that this row has been greatly impacted by a couple of different things. Number one, we don't have irrigation back here. I will from time to time bring a hose back here if we have a drought or something like that, or it's been dry for a while. But overall, I don't water it like I do the other vines. They do get fertilizer like everything else, but I don't come out and, you know, have a timer to turn on water. That's on the to-do list. It's not necessarily a requirement for your muscadines, but you will get much, much better results if you do have water. Another aspect is deer. I know we've had deer come over and browse this. When we first planted, you can see that video right here in 2024. Our neighbor had horses over here. They are no longer here. That's a blessing to us. I'm sure for them, maybe not, but it's a blessing for us for them not to be here, just in regards to kind of protecting the vines. The deer and the horses, you know, were quite a problem. So you got to think about that and how you're going to protect. Once things get up and they get pretty big, usually, you know, deer might still get them, but you can kind of deal with a little bit, but overall it ends up kind of being a problem, especially when they're young. They can really delay them. Then the last thing is just variety and knowing exactly what we've got out here. I'm gonna go over these 3 varieties as we kind of walk down the line, and we'll kind of talk about it. The first one I mentioned is Fry, and I'm gonna let you see that now and see exactly how well it has done in 2 years. Again, remember, we do not really have irrigation out here to these, and they have gotten bit down by deer for sure, and horses possibly a little bit. So you can see exactly how it's doing here. Next, we have a lane. This lane is a nice dark color muscadine, and it is a early variety. It's actually one of the earliest varieties of you know, your black or dark color muscadine. So you know, lane is certainly an option. Some people say that oftentimes they do not produce a whole lot. We will see. This year we will hopefully certainly have buds. We've got some growth here. It isn't the greatest growth, but we do have growth. And overall, this vine has done fairly well. Much better than the couple that did die. So we'll see exactly how Lane does this year. And we'll need to come back out and tie these to the line once we get our T-post in to be able to make sure this line is at the right height. So this is our Lane. All right, guys, this is Delicious, and we're looking forward to having a Delicious, just another unique variety, and really appreciate those being willing to share these 3 varieties with us. Delicious has grown absolutely the most out of any of these up here, which is kind of interesting given the location. It actually doesn't get full sun all the time. The sun basically is directly behind me in the mornings, and then it sets back over this way. So, you know, after I would say lunchtime, it's getting full sun for sure, but we've got a couple pines still here that really cut back on that. We're working on trying to get some of these out of here so that we can expand our figs, which y'all have seen those videos on. If you hadn't, I'd encourage you to check those out if that's something you're interested in. But once we do that, I can't imagine how this thing is going to do. But it has grown exceptionally well. It is right at 10 feet on one end, and then the other end is probably at about 8 feet or so. So this one will definitely need some pruning before everything starts to bud out. But overall, you know, I'm just glad to have these 3 varieties. We have openings for at least 1, potentially 2 here. The last one that we had that was the unknown that we planted in that video in 2024, it didn't make it. And honestly, I think there's just not enough sun back there. Just the further you get this way, the more and more these pines end up shading out. So wouldn't necessarily encourage that as a spot. But overall, as we kind of start to thin out some of these pines, maybe that will be an opportunity there. The other one that passed away or didn't make it was Dixieland, and we definitely will replace that with something there. We've got a couple of different options that we're thinking forward on, and also kind of thinking forward on, you know, what we're going to do here on this row. So let me show you exactly how we're going to be pruning up this Delicious. As I mentioned before, guys, got these House and Garden, or House and Garden. I like House better, but I think it's actually House and Garden. Pruners that have done well. Again, I mentioned this in another video. The only thing, you know, and maybe it's the way I'm holding my hands. Maybe I hold my hands kind of a little bit closer. This locking pin here, it kind of moves a little bit too easily for my liking, but I still haven't gotten a screwdriver out to try and get this going. So let's kind of look through this and see what we've got. And we're going to get this pruned so that, again, we can get this thing on down the line. All right, so this is our main cordon coming here. So we're going to prune, again, 1, 2, 3. Probably do 3 or 4 on these. Would really like to see some fruit this year on this, especially since it's been in the ground now. This will be 2 years, I guess. Always end up with a good bit of growth right here where this trunk comes up, and you don't want any kind of growth coming on that trunk. So go ahead and take those out. A little bit coming up here. And yes, we do still have blue tubes. We'll probably need to take those off, but I've never really had a problem with them. Some people really complain, but they've been fine for me. I'm just gonna leave that. Prune the tip off of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a split there, so we'll do that. Got a split there, so we'll do that. All right, guys, so that was it in regards to pruning this Delicious, and let's hope that this will be a delicious muscadine. Yeah, that's inserting a dad joke there.